Welcome to Secrets from the Scene, a show for local musicians who want to improve their music, grow their audience, and learn about Minnesota's music scene. If you're interested in talking about all things music related and meeting interesting people from our local community, you're in the right place. Welcome to Secrets from the Scene. My name is Stephen Helvig, and I'm your host. I'm joined here today at Helvig Productions by Nate Walker, the guitarist extraordinaire, playing in everybody's band. It seems like. I saw Nate at least a couple years ago playing probably at the Green Room, but also probably, I think I've seen at least a couple of your shows because you're in everybody's band. And have always been impressed. So it'll be great to get to know him a little better. This is the first time we're officially meeting.
Yeah.
And get to know what the Twin Cities premier sideman gig looks like a little bit. But additionally, Nate's a teacher, and I'm sure is doing studio work to some extent as well. And so we're going to dig into all of that and see what we can learn. So please help me welcome Nate Walker.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. So I left out of the intro, but guitarist for Bear, for Mike Coda, for Shoots, among many, many others.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't know what people ask me sometimes what the official count is. I think it's like 8 or 9, but I do a little bit of everything. It started as just kind of indie stuff, but now I play with a rapper, I play with a country artist, and then a lot of like indie pop vibes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How much do you have to play with somebody before they make the list? Like what, you know what I mean? Do you think of it as like, I'm not really in that band, that was one time, or I'm in that band?
That's a good question. It depends. I think I have them all in my Instagram bio, and I think it depends how bad I like really, really want to be associated with that artist. Because there's other people that I've played with that I like really love, like LaSalle, who you just had on your podcast. I did one gig with him, and I would love to be like that guy, but he's already got an amazing guitar player. Bobby Rethwish plays guitar for him. And then I did a gig with V-Lush, who's another really great kind of indie pop, hip hop, amalgamation artist who I've looked up to for years. And doing a gig with him, like I was like, I want to be his guitar player so bad, But I guess it's tough to say how many gigs or how long it has to be that until it's like official. I feel like it's up to the artist, Yeah. I can't claim that. They can claim me,
Well, that's the thing with being a sideman, right?
Yeah.
Is like you're in the band until you're not.
Right.
And
yeah, man.
That's how it works. But do you feel like any of the projects you're in are like part yours?
Yeah, sometimes. I think I've been so lucky to most of my career as a musician has been with like really, really close friends, who would ask for advice or, what do you think about this? Should I do this? Especially when I first started, because when I was in like music business school as an undergrad, it was like, Nate, what do you think I should do? Because sometimes maybe I had more experience in that. Although, come to find out, man, I didn't know anything at that time, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Shoots has been a pretty collaborative project lately. I mean, Ryan writes all the music, but he'll have everybody into the studio to play, and we do live arrangements, and same thing with Anna Devine's band. So I think it, once again, it's kind of like however much the artist wants you to be involved. Because I often bring this up. As musicians, we're all such emotional people, and making art is such a close thing to the soul. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you don't want to let other people into that, Sometimes you're just there to play somebody else's music, and you have to respect that too. So
yeah, absolutely. Do you have, on that topic, do you have your own music?
I've written for people in collaboration with people. There's a couple Daphne Jane tunes that I've done with Daphne that are out in the world that I have writing credits on. A couple of the Mati things, who's a rapper I play with, I have some credits for guitar parts. I've recorded a little bit of my own stuff. I'd love to do more of it. It's just a lot of work. And sometimes when you get started, somebody gives you a call and you got to focus on something else,
Right.
So, but maybe this summer, man, I'd really like to like to get going. I'm lucky to have access to such incredible musicians that, if I could get some people to help me flesh things out, I bet it'd be really cool.
I don't doubt that. Well, take me back when you first picked up a guitar and as things start going for you before you become this in-demand guitarist.
Yeah.
Were you writing music at that point? Like, where did it begin?
I started playing the guitar in first grade.
Damn.
Yeah. So almost 20 years ago now. But at that point, I was more interested in playing hockey, Guitar was a secondary thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until 8th grade when I really started getting into guitar.
That's still earlier than a lot of people even pick it up.
Yeah. But I didn't play live until I was 21.
Okay.
So 8th grade and all through high school, I really just kind of started this really manic love for music. And for me, it started with all the classic rock stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you knew that about me. I'm a huge classic rock nerd. Like Rush.
A lot of guitarists
Yeah,
are,
of course,
right?
right?
I mean,
Rush is probably my favorite band, but Rush, Boston Journey, U2, Thin Lizzy, Frampton, Gary Moore, Eric Johnson, all these great guitar-centric bands I know like everything about, and every album and every guitar they used on this record and what their gear was. And that really started to kind of become my jam through high school, really focusing on how can I get the best? How do I match Alex Lifeson's tone from this record? And I had a little Digitech RP360, which is this like $200 multi-effects processor that I used all the time, and I was trying to get the tones right, and I tried to get my Eric Johnson Cliffs of Dover tone, and I just sat in my basement, doing that 8 hours a day in high school, on the weekends, not in school. I didn't skip school to play guitar. It'd probably be a lot better if I did, but but that's what I did, man. When I really started to get into guitar, it was just kind of being super nerdy about tones, and the tone journey directed me to learn the guitar in a way, and that's how it all started. For sure.
so it was definitely more about playing than writing.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Yeah. I wasn't really writing much stuff. I think as you absorb those things and you look at many great songwriters, they often say, or people on the internet will call them out, well, this sounds exactly like that song. You absorb that material, and it often can come out in your songwriting. Like, I'm sure the things that I have written for other artists, I just completely stole from whoever.
I think everybody does.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's entirely how no one is like, very few people are incredibly original. Most
Right.
of it's just a combination of their influences.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfectly. I was more curious of like what the impetus was, like what drove you to pick it up. Was it the sound of it? Was it the wanting to express a writing? You know what I mean? I think for me, guitar was more of a means to an end. Like, well, I can write a song now.
Yeah.
It wasn't so like I didn't really care too much about, like, as soon as I could get any sort of chord working, it's like, okay, we'll move on.
Cool.
And so I didn't become a very good guitarist for that reason. But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think there are different reasons for starting.
Mm-hmm.
And then they evolve, of course.
Yeah. For me, it was totally that tone journey,
Yeah.
man. I was just so obsessed with it and wanting to sound like my favorite players.
Yeah.
I think that was always very inspiring to me, especially now, like looking back. I should go back and listen to like these patches I created to see if they even sound good anymore. Because I was playing out of like an orange practice amp through that Digitech. And maybe, I don't even know if any of my stuff still sounds good. But to me, it was like so awesome when I could get an Eric Johnson sound and tone. And I only had one guitar. I just had my Les Paul, So.
How many guitars do you have now?
Like 8, I think.
What do you typically bring to a gig?
It depends, man. Some of my guitars I don't love to play out anymore because they're just like my precious babies. My Les Paul is one of them. But I bring my Telly a lot just because it can kind of do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then either my Reverend, which is like a 3-pickup P90 thing. It's like a Strat or a Strat. Pretty much Telly Strat is what I bring to most everything these days. And if I need the humbuckers, I'll bring my Les Paul.
Sure.
But the Telly really covers the bases usually.
Is there anything on that list or on the list that you're like, that's the next one, I got to get that
Oh,
thing?
man. I bought a baritone, or I actually kind of had a friend make a baritone guitar this fall, and that was the last one. Right now, I've always treated guitars as tools.
Okay.
Partly because I don't have the expendable finances to go and buy a new guitar every week. But I've also been pretty satisfied with the instruments I have.
Yeah.
I don't have any crazy boutique guitars. None of my stuff is. I don't think I ever bought a guitar that retailed over $1,500,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy. I have like the cheapest Gibson Les Paul a man can buy. But they've all been great for me, man. And I can, if I need a Tele, I can do the Tele thing. If I need a Les Paul, I got a Les Paul. If I need a Strat, I've got the Strat.
Yeah.
It's like different colors of the palette,
Yeah, and it's a lot of it's like not overcomplicating it too much. I do think that there's some musicians that have come in, right? And they're really into their gear and stuff, and they're tweaking and they're switching things out and stuff, and then inevitably half of it doesn't work.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like,
it's brutal.
like you could just leave it, and just learn how to use this one thing.
Yeah.
And there's an element of like, if you're always chasing something and switching gear all the time, you're never really learning that one thing.
Yeah.
I do think that a guy like you probably does need a handful of guitars. You're getting asked to do a lot of different things. But for most people, like, get one decent instrument and get to know everything about it.
Yeah.
And same with your pedals. Get the basic. Now you can just get like all-in-one units, so I guess whatever. But spend time with them.
Yeah.
And really get to know it before you decide, oh, I have to get this next thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just haven't really learned the thing that they've got.
Yeah. And I think it depends too, like when I first started, I worked in a guitar store too. And that was part of it. Man, if you work in a guitar store, you're going to buy new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But I haven't changed my pedal board for a long time because I have what works and I haven't felt the need. I still play a PV Classic 50. It's like falling apart, but it's great,
Yeah.
And then I have a Helix for if I need to go hop on a plane. It's super easy to just check that. And it's got amp sims on it and stuff, and it works. It's not a nice quad Cortex, but I don't know.
Yeah, no one's complaining.
Yeah, no, I think it works. It all works for me.
What do you think is one of the biggest hangups people have about like getting started with their gear?
I think a lot of people want to have the nicest thing.
Yeah.
Man, I've played a lot of great $200 electric guitars. A Squier from... And part of it's like, man, you kind of got to know what you're looking for. There's a great line of Squier Strats from the early 2000s, and you always know them because they have like a little bit of flame on the neck.
Okay.
And that's like kind of like an insider guitar store worker secret, I think. But like if I see an old Strat and I see a little flame on the neck, I'm like, oh man, that's going to be a great guitar. And they're always like $200, So you don't always need the nicest thing.
Yeah.
If you have a well set up instrument, maybe you have a decent amplifier, and maybe you don't even have a nice amplifier. I know a lot of people, I don't know if you know who Mike Green is. Mike Green is one of the greatest, shredders in the city. He's a great player. He plays with Room 3 and a bunch of other different groups. He plays a Boss Katana every gig, and he rips. He's so good, you know?
So that's kind of a point that I want to get to. Because, yes, gear sometimes can inhibit you, particularly if you're the type of person that's like chasing a tone and you don't have the right stuff. You may not get to it, and that could be infuriating.
Yeah.
So I'll give people that.
Yeah.
But I think in general, when you're starting out, the advice of like pick something that's well built enough. If it stays in tune,
you're good to go.
You're good to go. And then just really master it, because I think what it really comes down to is, yes, it's learning that stuff, but it's your musicality shines through the gear. That's why Mike Green playing on whatever still rips.
Yeah.
Because it's not the gear, man. It's how you play it. I have people, we've got a few instruments here, and we keep them set up fairly well at all times, and people come in, and some people sound great on them, and some people don't.
Sure. Yeah.
And the instrument didn't change. And it's like
it's right here, right?
Yeah. How hard are you gripping? And how consistent are you doing things?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah. Like you start to hear that the instrument reacts differently to little things like touch and feel. And it's like a lot of people don't know that, for one. And it's not necessarily at the top of your party list when you're trying to learn chords. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got to do one thing before the next.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, don't get confused by chasing gear.
Mm-hmm.
Just practice more.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right. We kind of skipped ahead into
No,
a
that's
bunch of
okay.
other stuff.
We got
because
a little nerdy. That's fine. That's all right.
Hey, you get an expert in here. I gotta ask some questions. But so I know from doing a little bit of digging around, but you went to St. Thomas.
Yeah.
And did music business, as you mentioned.
That's correct. Yeah.
Walk me through the decision of like why that,
Yeah.
and then what happened right after college.
Yeah. I actually did one semester at Hamlin University.
I did some stuff at St. Thomas.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I did one semester at Hamlin, just kind of general education. Great school. I just wasn't loving my time, and I was like, this isn't what I want to do. I wasn't finding a path that I wanted to go with. I knew that I wanted to do music somehow. And so I took a semester off and I looked around and I was like, what do I do? How do I do it? And I discovered this music business degree. And that looked interesting to me because it was a threefold thing, right? It had study of music, study of the music business, and study of business, right? 3 separate things in one degree. I was like, okay, this is great. If I want to do some just random desk job someday, I've got the business side of it. And I knew at that time that I wasn't going to be a performing musician because that was something I had never done, when I was 20. So I was like, okay, I'm going to work in the business of music because that sounds cool, So I went to school to do that just because it was just an interesting idea for me. And I never knew what I wanted to do. I still don't really know what I want to do,
Yeah.
I never had like a dream degree or a dream school, and that was the first thing that sounded interesting to me. So I was just like, I'll just go try this and see what happens. And that's pretty much the way I've lived my life, I think, because like I said, I never set out to be a musician. So
Yeah.
It was just an interesting thing that combined a lot of things that I loved.
Were you gigging then right out of college and go into the path that you are now, or did you ever, apply for some music business jobs?
I started gigging when I was 21, just playing in backyards and stuff. I ended up working at Green Room.
Yep.
Because I met with the owner, Tanner Montague, my good friend, before my last semester of music business school. And I was already playing then. And I said, all right, I'm about to graduate. I don't really know what I want to do in my life, but I want to work in the music business somehow. Do you have any advice? And he said, well, do you want to work for me? And I was like, okay. So I started doing that, and I did that for about 1.5 years, working as the venue manager and a secondary talent buyer at Green Room. So, like I said, I was just trying things that were interesting to me, and I was lucky enough to have a great opportunity with Tanner doing that for a while.
Nice. Do you think you'd ever do something like that again?
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Green Room at that time was not what I believe it to be now, is like a true staple of the Minneapolis music scene. At that point, I joined when it was only open for about 6 months. A couple of my bands had already played there, but it wasn't this, what I think is just like a wonderful established venue now, At that time, it was just a grind, and we were doing like 6 or 7 shows a week.
Yeah.
Just working all day, and it was a lot of work at that time. It was fun, but it was a lot of work. If I were to go back to working in a venue, I would do something that didn't require 360 work ethic and
total commitment.
Total commitment, yeah. Because we were doing everything,
Yeah.
We were booking, and Tanner still does it. Many credits to him. He's just a beast. He does everything at Green Room, from the plumbing to the paying bands and everything in between, and building and expanding, and that's what we did, but it was 7 days a week, which he still does. But I mean, the venue doesn't operate 7 days a week anymore. So, but I don't know. It'd be cool. I loved working in the venue. It was fun.
Did you have any dreams of like where you would want to be in the music business?
Not really. I mean, I think secretly in my brain, like I said, I've always been a music nerd. And whenever I saw my favorites on stage, I saw Tom Petty and all my favorite players like playing live, I was like, man, that's so cool. I want to do that. I think deep down, I always wanted to perform.
Okay.
Because it just always seemed like just such a cool thing to me. So that's a dream, and luckily now I've like been at that point where I've truly lived that, and I've gone on tour and I've done all the things, and so in a way that part of it is accomplished. Now the other side of it is making it into a steady career,
Yes, which is a whole nother beast.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, speaking of making a steady career, you also teach.
Yeah.
And that's usually a part of having a steady career,
Completely,
right?
yeah.
When did that start?
I started teaching the guitar professionally, as in making money for it, maybe my junior year of high school.
Okay.
And I guess at that point I'd already played for over 10 years. But I wasn't an advanced guitarist by any means, which I think is a great thing to keep in mind for a lot of people out there. If you can teach somebody a G chord, you can teach the guitar, and you can make money doing it. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Or if you even know 3 chords.
Yeah.
You know how long I've spent teaching a G chord to somebody? Weeks. It depends on the student, right?
Yeah.
And you can make good money teaching, and it's really fun too. But yeah, I started doing it in high school. I think as part of like a school project, to be honest. It was like an independent study thing, and I decided to make a guitar lesson platform as part of that. And I began teaching a bunch of teachers at my school, actually, like after school, which was really fun. And then it has just been a side thing ever since then, I've taught lessons at a church. I've taught lessons in Spanish to new immigrants to the Twin Cities. I've taught lessons to fellow players, to fellow musicians, to peers, to people I look up to that aren't guitarists, I love teaching. It's a lot of fun.
How many students do you have?
That fluctuates. Right now I probably have 25.
And is that mostly private, mostly through other places?
Most of those students are through Twin Town.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot of private students right now, but I'd love to have more.
Hey.
Everybody heard it here first.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody reaches out. From teaching engineers here and having interns and stuff like that, I know how valuable teaching can be to your own craft.
Yeah.
How has that affected your own playing as being a teacher?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's definitely helped when I've had people subbing in for me on gigs, that I can make either if we meet in person or if I'm just making videos, I can really give them some great information in a way that I would like to receive it when I'm learning parts. And it's allowed me to learn a ton of different ways to play the same thing. Because no student is going to learn something the same way, right? Maybe somebody can't do a full G chord in the open position, so you teach a simplified version, or somebody really can't play a bar chord. So you go, okay, we're just going to play the top 4 strings of that chord, and we can still move it around the neck. And that allows you to, when you're playing gigs, I think, to sit differently in the band, right? Depending on the situation. If you have a bass and you have a keyboardist, you're not going to play a full, all your notes on the neck. You play it in a different position. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I was just teaching a student about this. Why didn't I do this down here instead of a full chord over here?
Yeah.
So it can help you restructure, I think, in a cool way.
I agree. And just having to clarify some of your thoughts behind things of the why, and obviously there's going to be a difference between a student that you're teaching that's just learning versus somebody that's more intermediate or advanced, and the types of conversations you have. But I do think that sometimes people will ask about, well, why do you do it that way? And,
Yeah, right? Why do I do that?
And that can be helpful, because if you're not teaching, if you're not having those conversations, a lot of the status quo can just kind of stay the same.
Right.
And it can force you to reorganize some thoughts and push yourself a little bit, which I think is really helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
It's, obviously just very practical as a flexible gig to make extra money, to stabilize things, but it's also really good for musicianship.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, there's, a classic cliche is like, if you can teach it, it's it's going to make you better, right? Which, yeah, I think it's true, especially if you can do different instruments too. Like I teach guitar, bass, keys, and drums.
Okay.
I'm not a great. I can't even call myself a keys player, but I mean I can read music, and that's made me better. If I really, really had to fill in on something, I might be able to do it. But it's only because I've taught keys now for a year.
Sure. Yeah. I get that. All right. We got to get into a little bit of your journey into being the person that is getting these calls.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure that's what a lot of people are curious. Like, how the hell did Nate Walker get all these gigs? Right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, right? Walk me through. Where did it begin? You play your first show at 21. You're still in school. I mean, obviously, to some extent, it's just like this organic growth. But walk us through, how does it happen? Where were the inflection points of it? Like, this really made a difference. This thing didn't.
Yeah.
And up to today.
Yeah. Well, my first show would have been with Lily Blue, who's a great artist in town. And we just played backyards. That would have been spring of 2021. We played at her backyard at her house in St. Paul a bunch. And I think I really wanted to start playing because I had really one of my first experiences playing with other guitarists in the guitar ensemble at St. Thomas. And I just enjoyed it so much. And I always loved the idea of playing with other musicians. All my favorite musicians, they had a band. I wanted to have a band too, man, And Lily wrote all the music. We just kind of arranged it. And we just had, I don't know, it was just us and a bunch of friends that kind of came to her backyard and watched us play. And it was just so exhilarating for me. It's just so much fun. And it still is, man. I just love playing live. So that was the first experience. And then from there, we had more friends who were just impressed with my guitar playing at the time. And I think that was a little bit of luck in the way that most of the guitar players that I was surrounded by during that time had different influences than me. And they were real indie fans. And maybe I'm wrong, but my general opinion is that a lot of indie guitar players don't play with a ton of vibrato, and they don't do a lot of bending, and their playing isn't blues based.
Yeah.
I came from a rock and roll background where my favorite guitar players are Clapton, Page, Eric Johnson, Gary Moore, all those guys. And they're based in the pentatonics and big bends and overdrive. And when I pulled up to these indie gigs playing like that, people were like, whoa, he's so good, But, at that time, if I pulled up to a rock gig, I'd be like, okay, which I still kind of think is true. But so to those people, it was like, wow, he's really good. And so a bunch of friends who are in indie bands started to, ask me to either play on bills with them or play in their groups. And from there, I started going to shows and meeting more and more people and getting more into the Minneapolis music scene, getting familiarized with all these different bands. And I was just, once again, kind of discovered this new love for not just rock and roll music like I was talking about before when I was in 8th grade and had that big transition. Now it was all this cool indie stuff, which for me falls under the Hippocampus umbrella. Mm-hmm. Because those dudes have just been so important, I think, in Minneapolis music with producing Samia and so many other artists. And then I made a playlist, my Minneapolis indie music playlist, which I still kind of add to once in a while these days. And I put it on my story one day, and a bunch of people responded to it going, man, can you add my song to this? So I was checking out a bunch of music, and I was already playing in 1 or 2 bands, and people would send me stuff, and I would check it out. And then one day, one of my best friends in the world, Aiden Hangle, he sent me a DM saying, please check out my song. And I did, and I was like, man, this is really cool. And I listened to it, and I just DM'd him. I was like, do you have a band? Because I was looking for more stuff to do. And he didn't have a band. He had parts of a band, but he didn't have a band. And I was like, do you want a guitar player? And I sent him a video of me playing his song, which he'll say me playing his song wrong. you know? And we went to a show like that weekend together, and after rehearsing once earlier that week, and we just like became super great friends. And through Aiden, I really met everybody. So I credit a lot of my upbringing in the Minneapolis music community through meeting him and playing with Aiden Intro, who now lives in New York, but he's coming back this summer. We have a show at the Entry this summer, which I'm super excited about. But through Aiden, I met Bear. I met Bear at an Aiden show. I met Mike Coda at an Aiden show. I met Mati, the rapper I play with now. I met the Shoots guys at an Aiden show. So that just tells you, man, I created this little community thing, and then I just reached out.
And you met all those people because he was playing on the bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We were playing, or somebody came up to us after a set and said hi, and I was like, oh, I know who you are, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started playing with Daphne because I liked her music and it was on my playlist, and I was like, hey, do you have a band? And she said no. And so I put together a band for her, and that was 4 years ago now, and we still play together. So, yeah. And then from there, it just, that kind of same thing really just kept happening. You know, people would reach out to me because they wanted me to fill in, or I would meet somebody that I really look up to and say, can I play in your band? Like that's how it was with Mike Coda for a long time. I feel like I annoyed her for like 2 years. Like, I'll do anything to be in your band, man. I'll do anything. And eventually she called me, you know.
Well, you make it sound easy, but that's a really hard thing to do.
Okay.
It is. Like, I mean, maybe not for you, or I'd be interested on your thoughts of this, of like specifically how you go about actually saying, I want to be in your band.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
has that ever been difficult for you? Or like, you know, was there a hump that you had to get over? Or are you just always been like, whatever, I'll shoot my shot, doesn't matter?
Well, I think some of it is a confidence thing. I tell this to people that have asked me that question before, like, how do you join something, or how do you reach out to people to start something? Know that you are a great player, and know that you're probably a great person, and you're interested in making music. And if you have those three things, why not just try? You know, I think that's really cool. And I've been lucky enough that has worked out for me many times. You know, I've just said, hey, do you want to do something sometime? Or maybe it just starts with, we should hang out. Let's hang out. I'd love to pick your brain. Can I take you out to lunch? Can we just chat about music? And sometimes that builds a relationship, or it's all about taking those little steps.
Yeah.
I think. So it's a confidence thing.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
I agree. I think a lot of people get stopped with, but am I good enough? And maybe I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and then the whole thing goes down from there.
Yeah. I think you're probably better than you think you are. You know? And there's a beautiful message I remember receiving from a friend that you can't see yourself how others see you. You know? And I try to keep that with myself, especially if you're feeling down, you know? You're probably a better person and a better musician than you think you are. And I'm sure that there's plenty of people that think that about you, you know, especially if you have a lack of confidence or anything of that sort. Keep that in mind, you know.
What's the hardest part of that sort of connection or networking or stuff for you?
I remember very early on just meeting all these people that I really looked up to, and just being very nervous because I looked up to them. I respected them. Come to find out, almost all of those people that I've met and am now friends with are just great people. And the people that weren't great people, well, they don't really matter as much, you know, which is funny, but I think it's important to remember. What I always say is everybody's just a dude. Everybody's just a person.
It's so simple, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's until you actively start getting more ingrained into those communities where you're like, oh, I guess that they're just a normal person, you know, then it becomes more real, but it never starts that way.
I agree.
And that's perfectly normal. Just know that that's normal, but guaranteed nobody's that special.
Yeah.
There are people that are talented and everything, but for the most part, everybody's just a regular person.
Yeah. And the best musicians and the ones that have the most gigs are the nicest people too.
Generally speaking. Yeah. I think there's
generally
probably been a few exceptions, which is why there's such a belief that that's not the case. Because I think historically we have stories of stars and all that stuff. But if you're not at like, incredible heights of fame,
right,
you're probably just a normal person.
Yeah. The people that I look up to in town, anyways. I mean, like, just I can't even list them all. There's so many people that I've like always looked up to, and come to find out they're just like so humble and kind and very hardworking. Those people, yeah, they're humble, kind, hardworking. They're always on time. They always study. They come prepared.
Yeah. And I'm guessing all of those things are the reason why you keep getting called back.
Maybe. I hope so. Yeah. I hope so.
What do you think makes a good bandmate?
That's a good question. Being on time is important, which we're all guilty, especially as musicians. I feel like musicians are chronically late.
Yeah, but it says something.
Yeah.
Particularly if the person that's hiring you is on time.
That too. You don't want to be the last one there.
No.
Especially if you're really late. Yeah, being on time is important. Knowing the material. My good friend Sam Rosenstone, I was talking to him once, and he was telling me about another keys player, Kevin Gastangwe, who was getting the call to play with Dr. Mamo's combo for the first time. And Sam said that Kevin was going to show up knowing everything, and he was not going to bring any notes because he was going to know the music so well that he was just going to be that prepared, right? Those kind of people are the people that you want in your band.
Yeah.
People that know every little part, and maybe they'll call you out if you do it wrong, but they're also going to be respectful about it too. People that bring you up. The favorite and best bands that I've been in are people that keep you honest, in that, oh man, that was a little wrong. You played that a little wrong.
Yeah.
But maybe they tell you how to do it correctly in a nice, kind, respectful way. And also celebrate your successes too. I love being supported in a band. Like, that's the best, man. That solo was awesome. I love that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that makes performing fun, especially when you can celebrate it. Because being in a band, for me, it's like being in it's like a secret group that people look up to in a weird way. I don't know. But my favorite bands I've been in is, it's just us having fun, Yeah. And maybe it looks like we're performing and putting on a show, and of course you are in a way, but the performance is just the interaction of friends on stage, and that's my favorite. I'm just up here having a good time with my friends. Like, that's my favorite kind of band to be in.
It strikes me that you do have a really healthy balance of confidence, where you're not your own worst enemy, and a lot of musicians tend to be.
Yeah.
To some extent, they can be a little self-destructive.
Yeah.
Well, it's high pressure, and there's too many opportunities for comparison. Where it can be hard to get out of your own head.
Yeah.
How you're doing and things like that. But it strikes me as you just genuinely like what you're doing and enjoy yourself, which makes you very fun to be around.
Well, thank you.
Because you're probably getting the people that are in their own heads like, I don't have to, it's influential. It spreads that sort of infectious, really positive energy that's not forced. It's real. I think that there's not a lot of people like that. So one, I think that's a power of yours in some sense. But it's something that you can practice.
I agree, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with faking positivity to some extent. Because it does catch on, and it can bring up the room, and it can bring up the vibe. And I am willing to bet that you're doing that a lot of times.
Yeah.
Which is elevating the mood.
Yeah. I've been known as a positivity bringer sometimes. I think, especially one of my favorite groups I've played with is Yam House, and you had Lars on the podcast a while ago, and all those guys being like 10 years older than me and being at the musician thing for so long, they were just like, oh God, we gotta go play again sometimes, you know? And I'm just like, this is the best day of my life, you know? So it's good to be, I don't know, kind of loose and silly once in a while, I think.
I agree. I'm guilty of taking things too seriously often. And so, but I have, you know, whether it's clients or friends or whatever, like they bring that kind of energy, and I'm always like, thank God. Like, because it's a reminder, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm the only one. I think that's not uncommon among people that are, you know, trying to find their way through it, and it's you know, it's stressful.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's an overlooked piece of it that makes a huge difference to people. I think oftentimes when people maybe from the outside look at you and go, oh, I got to get my skills up. You know, and if I could play as good as Nate. But that's rarely the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be at a certain level. You have to be good and competent at what you do. But I bet it has nothing to do, you know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but when you've been asked to play in groups, do they line you up in an audition and say, all right, we're going to put you through this test, and the one who gets an A is going to get this, right?
No, it's very, very rarely like that.
Right, right. It's often like, we believe you'll be good enough for this thing, and jump in now.
Yep.
You know, there is no test. There is no like,
That's the truth.
hey, can you prove it in a sense? Like, obviously you have to, you know, at a rehearsal, you're going to prove it, quote unquote. But there's not like research being done in the background a lot of times. Like, all right, let's find out what exactly can he play these scales and what, you know, like it comes down to, okay, we believe that you're good enough. Maybe they catch a show or whatever, you attend a rehearsal, and then we like being around you or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know for a fact that I'm not the best player that's played for many of the artists I play with. That's just like, I just know that that's true.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, maybe somebody likes to hang out with me. Cool, man. You know, that's awesome.
That is, and we've said it 1,000 times on the podcast, but it's always worth repeating because that is a lot of times the difference maker. And that's not an excuse to slack on your skills.
Yeah,
Still be
right.
diligent, still be prepared, still show up on time, do all those things. But bringing good energy is something that is valued everywhere.
Yeah.
And it will be a skill that will serve you your entire life.
That's right. It's a combination of everything. You can be personable, but also professional, you know, and once in a while you have to hear it too. Like, oh, you're being a little too personable right now. Let's lock in a little bit, you know. I've had a couple times when artists are like, okay, let's take a minute. We're playing. Come on. You know?
Yep.
But
well, and that's just everybody's disposition. Some people are going to be more that way, and some people are more quiet and contemplative, and that's fine. You don't have to pretend to be somebody you're not. But you do want to bring just an elevated energy to some extent. You know, be your best self.
I agree.
And that is always appreciated in a room.
Yeah.
All right, there's a couple other things I want to get at.
Yeah,
I could talk to you for another hour at least, but we should probably start like making the final turn
wind down,
a little bit. No guarantees though. What does a typical week look like for you? Typical month? Like, how do you balance everything? You know, lots of different gigs, lots of different, you know. Are you trying to take other like side gigs for money? Like, how do you do it?
It depends on the season.
Yeah.
Right. Last summer was my busiest music playing season of my career. And June, July, and August, I did like, I don't know, 18 to 25 or 30 gigs each of those months, which is, for me, was like crazy. You know, that's almost a gig every day. For me, that was a lot. I know a ton of people who do that, and that's their regular thing. But for me, it was not. Balancing that with teaching can be hard because sometimes you have to sacrifice one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And it depends on how much you're getting paid for a gig. Maybe you say no once in a while. And that was something that I never did. You know, now I'm in the say yes to most things part of the year because it gets slower.
Yeah.
And I talk to people who are performing and playing at a much higher level than me about how slow my spring and winter have been, and they just say, well, that's just what it is, you know, and that's okay. I just spoke to some people that I really, really look up to after a show the other day, I was at the Boyish show, great band. I was just telling them, I wish I was playing a little more, and they were just like, it's gonna come back around. And I love that positivity, especially hearing it from people that you really look up to. It's gonna come back around, which is cool. But for me, right now in the spring, it's teaching lessons 4 days a week, getting a couple more lessons in on the side if I can. With a big gig coming up on Friday, it's 2 or 3 rehearsals a week and a lot of practice time at home. I like to run the set once a day if I can. And even on the day of the show, I'll run the set a couple times. I know a lot of people that don't do that, but for me, I gotta practice. I need to practice and envision how I'm gonna play every single second of that gig. That's very helpful for me. So it's lessons, rehearsal, practice. That's my life, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a good balance of, I'm lucky to have a wonderful friend in my life, a great girlfriend in my life, you know? A little bit of balance from outside of music is also great too, which I think is easy to forget, especially if you're really, really in it and you're stressed out about the gig that's coming up. But there's more to life than music too. Even though music is a part of every second of my life, personally, you know, I don't drive the car without putting some tunes on. Yeah. But yeah, just finding a balance is great too.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing a good job at that.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Ultimately, like the ultimate goal, is it just to get to a point where you could join a band that's playing constantly and touring constantly? Do you always want to have a mix of multiple things? Do you want to teach more? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish I had like an exact response. This is exactly what I want to do. I've been lucky enough to be at the point where I am touring and playing. Like, that's how I was last summer. It was so much fun. I was just constantly playing. I had, you know, five or 6 days out of the week I had a show. And for me, a show day is like, that's a complete thing. I'm just focused on the end of the day. I can't think about anything besides the show, you know? I love doing that. I love that being my life. I would love to be in a group that's constantly touring, but I love being at home too. I'm such a little homebody Minnesota boy in my heart as well. I love adventuring and being on tour, being on the road and exploring new places and being somewhere I've never been and meeting new people and playing music every night. It's so fun. I love touring. It's one of my favorite things ever. But I also enjoy teaching. I don't want that to be my life, I've decided. But it's fun. And it's like, in a way, I don't want to say it's easy because that makes me feel like I'm being a bad teacher. But for me, it's easy. It's just so easy. I go in there and I play the guitar and hopefully teach somebody something. And it's so much fun for me, which is the easy part of it, I guess. I loved working in a venue. Maybe I'll do that. The point of all that is to say I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. It'd be wonderful to have a career where I have like a salaried thing too, you know? And that's all about figuring out your goals for life too.
Yeah.
But I often find myself getting so wrapped up in that I can't focus on right now, you know? Because I'm about to go, like this Friday, we were just speaking about, I'm going to go play the First Avenue main room. I'm so excited. And I never thought I would ever do it. And this Friday, I'm playing my 8th and 9th shows in the main room. Never thought I would do it once. And if I focus too much on, man, I'm not making enough money, or I'm not doing this enough, or I could be getting more, I could be playing more, I'm going to completely forget that I'm accomplishing my dream in that moment.
Yeah.
So focus on the now, you know, and start to envision the future in a healthy way. And I guess just keep going with what I said earlier, just trying the things that interest me. I've been lucky enough that that's led me to a great point in my life. And I'm just looking forward to more.
When it comes to touring, what has been some of your favorite moments on the road?
Oh, man, my first tour was with Bear in September of 2023. It was so fun, man. We played the Troubadour in Los Angeles, where all my favorite rock stars used to play in the 70s. It was so cool. That was the Troubadour was really cool, man. That was so much fun. But some of my favorite things with touring are adventuring on my own, The Yam House boys will probably get mad at me, but I always just say they're all in their 30s and I'm younger than them. So I would always like go out after sound check. They'll just be kind of chilling, taking a nap or whatever. I'll go out, explore a new city that I'm in.
Yeah.
And then finding camaraderie. I think when you're touring, you are forced to either absolutely love or just despise whoever you're with. Luckily, I've never despised anybody I've been touring with. I've always just been so appreciative and love the people I've toured with. But exploring a new place, no matter where it is. I was just on tour with Shoots and we were in Iowa City and it was such a fun night. Or being in LA with Bear, or being in New York with the Yam House boys, or going to Canada for my first time to play with Bear. For me, it's all about the adventure. The show is like one thing, and it's so fun to play a show, but most of touring is really just exploring a new place. And for me, it's all just, wow. So there's a whole world out there. And I can see how people get jaded about it, but for me, it's just so fun.
Yeah. What's the, like an example or a time a gig has just gone completely sideways?
Well, I think that's an important thing to remember too, for people who are just starting to play. Gigs go wrong.
Yep.
It's part of the game. Stuff messes up. Things break. Your string breaks when you're about to play that one solo you've been practicing for months for. Your pedal board doesn't work. That happened to Aiden at our first 7th Street entry headline. His pedal board, it worked the whole sound check. We get to the show, no sound. We're playing in front of the sold out entry. It was a life-changing moment, and his stuff didn't work. We're like, no. That was one. But you got to overcome, he just plugged straight into the amp. We did the gig. I remember my first one that went really bad. This was when I was in high school, so I guess it was an earlier performance for me. I was doing the solo to Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Okay.
And I was using my Digitech RP360 that we talked about earlier. And it gets time for the solo, right? And I start the solo after waiting, and it was during a big choir concert. So I had to wait for 2 hours, I think, before my time. And I was so nervous over there in the corner.
Yeah.
And I started to play, and somehow my effects processor got to the wrong patch.
Oh, no.
And my beautiful Brian May tone that I'd crafted for hours, I didn't even know what I was playing. I was like, this is wrong. And I played the first couple notes and I was like, oh, I got to switch it. And I switched it and I got off time. And I just remember going home. I was so sad. I just remember like crying. I was so bummed. I was so sad because I had been looking forward to it for so long. And that was my first venture into realizing, oh, these things happen.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm still alive, even though I messed up the
career's not over.
Yep. Choir concert guitar solo.
They still talk about it.
I can still talk about it. Yep. But you can avoid most of those things. Some things just happen.
Yep.
But most of those things can be avoided. Like I was saying, I always got to practice that set. If I practice that set enough, your intuition and your preparedness that's going to take over, even if you mess up a little bit. And guess what? Everybody messes up. I mess up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell the people I play for, but I mess up a lot, That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's part of it. That's live. That's what makes live music awesome.
And live is very forgiving.
Yeah.
What you find as a mistake, most of the time the audience doesn't notice.
That's the truth.
What do you suggest to people that are nervous about playing their first shows? Like, how did you get comfortable with mistakes and get comfortable moving around and enjoying yourself on stage?
Yeah. For me, playing with people that I really love is super helpful. Have people that'll be there with you, that'll have your back. And you can't be afraid to look stupid or I don't know. For me, man, it's just, if you're going to go have fun, people are going to enjoy it. And that's the truth. You can always find beauty and be entertained by somebody who you can tell is just having an awesome time.
Yeah.
If you go out there and you just have fun, people are going to love it.
People can tell.
Yeah.
If there's real joy happening there, they want a part of it.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what it looks like or any of that stuff. If it's real, people will dig it.
Yeah. Take some deep breaths. Have confidence in yourself. Practice hard so you go up there and you just rip it. Just have a great time.
You mentioned, practicing and running the set on the day of the show at least once. But are there any other pre-show rituals or things that you always do or things you recommend?
I have a lot of friends, like my friend Mike Coda, who is really into, and a lot of other friends who are very into imagining yourself and envisioning yourself on the stage and thinking of you just playing that part perfectly. Imagine yourself succeeding. Don't be worried, what if I mess up? What if I mess up? Think of yourself winning, succeeding, doing a great job. And yeah, remember that it's for fun too, and it can be fun, whatever you're doing. I've done a lot of gigs that aren't fun either, but you can always find things that are like, man, that was a great time,
I like it. Let me see if I've got any other good last minute questions here. Unless there's anything that you want to cover that I forgot or something.
I don't know. I feel like I've been able to get hopefully some good stuff out.
Okay. How about something that you thought would matter a lot that now that you've gotten further in, you're like, nope, that doesn't really matter.
That's a really great question. I think that most of the opportunities I've been able to get are from gigs or things that I thought were just regular, boring. I'm just doing this one gig. Oh, it doesn't really matter. And the biggest gigs I've played, I haven't really received anything from, So I think getting the biggest gig ever isn't always, like, it can be a great personal accomplishment and it's something you can be proud of, but not every giant gig or the craziest thing you've ever done is always the biggest payoff. In fact, I think the first time that Zach from Yam House saw me play was in the Hudson, Wisconsin High School auditorium. I'm like, what the heck? But he saw me play and he liked me playing, and then I got to go on the road with them for a year. So I think it's not always about the biggest gigs ever.
Yeah.
They don't all, like, it's a great personal accomplishment, it's a great band accomplishment, but it might not matter as much as you think, and it might not be the biggest deal.
From a guitar playing perspective or a musician, just general musicianship perspective, what's one habit that has improved one of those things the most for you?
Trying to treat every performance like it's a tryout, I think, is important. Always play like you're playing in front of a million people. My favorite artist that I see, even when they're like just starting, I'm like, wow, they're playing like they're at an arena right now. I love that, and it inspires me so much to always play from the heart and play the best you can, no matter if you're playing at the Terminal Bar or at the grandstand at the State Fair. I think that's so cool to just treat every gig like it's the one.
Yeah. Is that something that you picked up along the way, or is it?
That's a good question. I think I received that from playing it with Aiden Intro a lot. We always tried to play the best we could. Okay. We would always rehearse just so hard for whatever gig it was. Our first gig was at Cadence Records in St. Paul, which the capacity's, the total capacity, not just for the little room in the back, the total capacity is 75.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be the best we could for that gig. So I think that was from playing with other people. We decided that everything was going to be the gig.
Yeah.
And I try to take that to everything.
Yeah.
Even if it's, maybe I didn't practice as hard as I could, but I'm still I'm going to play the best I can. I'm going to try to be the best. And maybe there's an edge of competitiveness. Maybe I want to be the best. That's okay. Even if there's people I know that are way better than me that are playing the same bill, then I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to impress them, impress myself, impress my bandmates too. I love doing that. Watch this,
What do you think is one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn so far?
when you do things wrong, and you need to adapt and overcome and still succeed somehow, even if you really messed up. And I have before. It's so easy to get down on yourself. I think, especially like I mentioned earlier, musicians, we are such emotional people, and music is such an emotional thing. You know, we play from the heart and everything. And sometimes you really mess up and you get in trouble, or it's just like, oh man, you really let somebody down. You still got to either you make it up at that show, at that rehearsal, in a professional conversation. You've got to overcome that hump, that hurdle somehow, and you can. You can't let something beat you down all the way.
Yeah.
You failed at a gig, oh man, do better on the next one.
I agree. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So you always have to find a solution.
Yep.
Find a way to make it a win. And even if it is just, this is going to be a great story.
Yeah, right.
Someday. Yeah. Because stuff's going to happen. And sometimes it's in your control, and you're going to have to make amends because maybe you were underprepared or did something wrong. And sometimes it's not in your control, and it is what it is. You have to do your best. And I think that all ties into like bringing good energy too, of like looking at the upside and making the best out of things and being the person that's going to find that one thing that's silver lining here and like, hold on to that.
Sometimes you need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I know that immediately this Friday you have an amazing 2 shows coming up, but what else is on the horizon for you?
Yeah, I've got some really fun stuff this summer that I'm looking forward to. Yam House is headlining Midwest Music Fest.
Sweet.
Which I'm super excited about. That was the first festival I ever played with Aiden Intro several years ago, and now Yam House is headlining it, so that's very cool. Yam House is also doing Yacht Club, which I'm super excited about. I'm going to be playing Flavor World's Flavor Fest. I probably can't say with whom because they haven't announced the lineup yet. I'm really excited about that too. Shoots, I know, is working on a new record. Daphne Jane is working on a new record. She's going to do a headline show this summer. I've got my Sidemen sessions that I'm doing every month.
We didn't even get to that.
I guess I got a lot of things going on.
Let's say just a couple words on that because I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, tell people what it is.
Yeah, my Sidemen sessions is usually monthly studio live session that I do at Greenway Recording, wonderfully hosted by my friend Mason Myers.
Shout out to Mason.
Shout out to Mason. Thank you, Mason. He lets me bring in a bunch of people that I look up to, people that I've never met, friends, and we record a cover of my choosing because I selfishly choose all the songs and I say, please, will you please play this song for me? It usually starts with the singer, somebody I can imagine singing on it. And from there, I build a band. And I've had over 60 different musicians on it. And there's the 6th, I believe, episode just came out today. And there are 5 that are being edited and being pushed out. So it's truly just a fun passion project, and I'm lucky enough to bring in all these people that I really look up to play a silly cover song, usually like a rock and roll song. But I've done everything. Like we've got Taste by Sabrina Carpenter coming out soon, and we did an Olivia Dean tune. We just did Steely Dan. I've done Clapton. Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's just a fun thing.
It's very cool. And you do them live, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually do. It depends on the song. Sometimes it's a few more takes. But we've had it like as little as like 3 takes. Boom, done, we're out, which is really cool. And I've had the opportunity to play with some just killer musicians on it. So
very cool.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to throw some links to that in the show notes so people can check it out and maybe attend one or at least watch some of the past episodes.
Yeah.
If people want to get in contact with you, where do you like to send people?
Yeah, just send me an Instagram DM. That works great. I'll try to respond as quick as I can. and I always say, like, if there's anything I can do for people, please reach out. Because I've been lucky enough to be supported by wonderful people. I didn't get where I am just because of me. That is just a fact. There have been so many wonderful people that have helped me out along my way, and I've been wonderfully supported and pushed. And that's another thing too, if I can include that. be surrounded by people who push you to be better.
Yeah.
You can only push yourself so far, I think. There's a lot of mental fortitude involved in that, in pushing yourself, but other people who are better than you, who are even more inspired than you, will make you better. A better player, a better person, a better bandmate, a better leader, whatever it is.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always ask guests at the end of every show, like, do you want to leave a secret back to the scene? Is there anything you want to drop here? It can be something
secret
from the conversation, or it could be something that you wish you would have known earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Any number of things.
Don't be afraid to reach out to the people that inspire you. You never know who will respond and how they will respond. Most of the things that I've gotten to be able to do have been from reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, I would love to be involved with you in some way. And I've been lucky enough that they've said, okay, here you are. And you never know who or how that might happen to you if you ask that question.
Yes. Agreed. Don't be afraid. Ask somebody to lunch or buy them a coffee.
Yeah.
Lead with something that you can do for them. Don't just ask for a favor right away. It's usually good to start with a compliment at least.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's an underutilized tool, except for a lot of people that are doing well. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
They do that. And
Yeah.
the people that are like, how does this aren't doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Last question, just because I'm curious, is do you have mentors that you actively stay in touch with?
Yeah, I have a lot. So many. I'll list them so that other people can reach out to them. Kai Brewster is a big one. Mm. My former college guitar instructor, Jared Wallen, is a big one. Tanner Montague is a big one. Mm-hmm. Sam Rosenstone. Pretty much every artist I play for, I consider a mentor and a friend. I've been lucky enough to have both sides of that. So anybody that I play for, reach out to them. They're wonderful people.
Yeah. Do you have anybody that you want to reach out to that you haven't yet?
Oh, my goodness. Probably.
You just haven't worked up the courage yet.
Yeah, probably. Well, that's part of it too. Like, maybe there's some people out there I'm scared to talk to still.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. Whenever that does happen, they're usually so nice. And that's so cool.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anybody off the top of my head. I've been lucky enough that most of those people that I really wanted to reach out to are now my friends, which is just crazy.
Well, and it also says that you're picking mentors wisely in that sense too, that there's somebody that's not so far outside of your league where you can, there are people close enough to your circle, close enough to your situation where friendship's realistic.
Yeah.
Where some people are thinking like, I want to be friends with name famous person.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not going to happen.
Right. You never know.
It's unlikely.
Yeah. Right.
Right. It's a bad place to start at the very least. So yeah, there's so much to learn from people that are 5-10 years ahead of you. They don't have to be so far ahead, and it can be such a huge advantage to you to have people that are slightly older than you that have been through a few more things that can help, and then you get to pass that along to the next generation. And on it goes. All right, man. Nate, this has been great.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you having me here.
Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed this. We're going to drop all those links in the show notes. And I hope to have you back sometime. Maybe with shoots or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much, man. You're great. You're a great interviewer.
Oh.
I feel like I talked so much.
Well, you made it easy on me, that's for sure.
Okay, good.
For everybody that checked out the episode, thank you so much for tuning in. We always appreciate you. If you like it, please share it with a friend. And, hit us up if you got ideas for guests or topics that you want to learn more about. Till then, see you next time.